Hello and welcome to the International Schools Podcast. I'm your host, Dan Taylor, and on the podcast we discuss all aspects of technology and life in international schools, with new episodes live every 2 weeks. We focus on people who are currently working in schools, and we talk about life in their current country and dive into some specific topics. The podcast is brought to you by Acer for Education. People always ask what Chromebooks we recommend and what Windows laptops we recommend, and after trying literally all of them, we always recommend Acer. If you'd like to get more info and try out some devices, please just go to gg.gg/Acer Education. That's gg.gg/Acer Education, and we'll get right back to you. Also, the podcast is brought to you by Apps Events. We're a Google partner. We work all around the world. We've just got one piece of new information right now. This is in January 2021. We're a G Suite Enterprise for Education partner. That's Sethi. This is a bunch of premium tools available to people using Google at their schools. We can help you get set up with a free 1-month trial. So please check out the link in the show notes and we'll do that right away. And now, on to the interview.
And in a moment, we'll be talking to Sethi and Tim as well. But firstly, I want to welcome Suan Yeo. We're very lucky to have him here. I actually met Suan at probably my second Google event back in 2013. So let me just bring Suan in here. Hi, Suan.
Hey, James.
Very much welcome. I just want to repeat the story to you. I remember we met in 2013 in Vietnam, in Hanoi. And it was my first ever session at a Google event. I remember you came in and said, I really want to see the session. Well, that's great. Very exciting for me. And the second you said that, the internet dropped out. I don't know if you remember that, but the internet just dropped out. So if Suan ever says that to you, you know you're cursed. How's everything going with you, Suan?
Good, James. Yeah, I'm here in Sydney, Australia, 7 p.m. So, I'm grateful to be able to join the group here, and all the viewers that you have all around the world. So really excited to be here, maybe to share some of the things that I've gone through, here in Australia, but also, working with educators in the region.
Well, thank you very much for joining us, Suan. Let me just bring your screen in now. Here we go.
All right.
Okay, are you all set? I will drop myself out.
Thanks, James. Before we begin today, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the challenges that many of our colleagues and friends, family are going through at the moment. And that I stand with them in support of racial equality. So as James mentioned, I'm head of education for Australia and New Zealand. Those are my handles and email. I'd love to connect with you if you have any questions. I did want to share this is my claim to fame. If you've done the Google Arts and Culture selfie, it actually does a lookup with the photo that you have on all of the millions of artwork that they have on the Google Arts and Culture site. So go ahead and try that out with Google Arts and Culture on the mobile app on your Android or iPhone. I want to first start off with, sort of talking about my life in the last couple of months. I know many of us around the world have gone through interesting times, but, some of the pluses and minuses, that have happened in my own household, as you can see, whether it's parent-teacher interviews on video conference or playing games or music lessons, a lot of this stuff, PE with Joe, you can see my kids down there in the bottom left, getting haircuts, a thing of the past, and obviously having virtual TGIFs. A lot of these things have moved online. What you see behind me on this wall is actually blown up here. When we first went into work from home for Google, I started this sticker wall. I called it my quarantine sticker wall, and I thought, I'll do a sticker a day for every day that we're working from home, almost like a prisoner doing the scratchings on the grill. And lo and behold, you see on the bottom right there the number 125 days, and we are still working from home. In fact, our CEO Sundar just announced that we'll be voluntary work from home till July of 2021. So another year to go. What I wanted to sort of share, what we've seen, obviously COVID-19 has affected a lot of people, but I think it's actually changed the education landscape forever, and for the better in many cases. You might have seen, covers on Newsweek, Time Magazine, talking about sort of this generation, that's going to grow up, right? Many of us have kids. I have got 2 primary school kids in my household, and they're going through this period where 2020 is going to be sort of an asterisk, right, in the history books. And this generation pandemic, they're growing up. What is that new normal going to look like for them? I love this UNESCO sort of graphic that shows, at its peak, almost 1.6 billion learners from almost 200 countries were disrupted by COVID. And you see this graphic that shows the school closures, at a national level, over time, right, over the last couple of months. It's really, a global impact at scale, which is what we're seeing. So what is there more of and what is there less of, right? A lot of these in-person things that we used to do in-person things like professional development conferences and summits used to be done in person, and now we're moving to this new form of virtual communication and connection. I also love the phrase, you might have heard, it's not social distancing, it's actually just physical distancing, right? We're still using the online mediums to connect socially. So it's really wonderful to see all of the opportunities that I think that have come out from this global pandemic. You see this over globally, right? In all forms and all medias. If you look at all the top downloaded apps over the last couple of months, many of them are in that video conferencing and social media. So the need for people to connect is higher than ever, and we're really excited. I think just to see if you're in the technology space and you're passionate about technology, it's really wonderful to see this happening. I'll shift gears a little bit, talk about Google. Why we've started to look at the opportunity here. Is really the opportunity to expand where and how students learn, so that everyone has access to that quality education. And I think one thing that COVID's really created is this ability to look at that equity question, and how do we bridge that equity gap that does exist, right? If we're going to move into remote learning, does every student have access to a device, to the internet, to be able to access their homework when they are not in their classrooms? We've seen sort of the growth in the numbers of our platforms, which is really exciting for us, but also gives us tremendous hope for the fact that we're going to see increased exponential growth in the use of technology in classrooms. I did want to share a resource that we put together, teachfromhome.google, which is this hub of information and tools to help teachers during this coronavirus crisis. So they come in multiple languages. So check it out. It's also a great resource for parents. One group that's definitely come to the forefront during this remote learning period are parents, and the roles that they have to play as well, right, in supporting their child during remote learning. And so over the last couple of months, we've spent hundreds and thousands of hours in schools listening to what are some of the specific things that teachers need, that students need, to really help increase the engagement there. And what we found that teachers are still struggling to manage workflows and to collaborate centrally. And so when you remember, those of you who've been with us for a while, Google Classroom was created as a result of that direct feedback, right? The ability to track student progress centrally and to enable sort of that fast back and forth feedback. And over time, over the last couple of months, I'm excited to say, we've launched a whole bunch of updates, products, features, programs, and training to support this. I need to get rid of this bar here. Okay, apologies. When you look at something like Google Meet, we are really ramping up sort of the development and R&D there, and you see, over the last couple of months, again, a lot of the improvements have come by, and I think it's exciting. Whether you're using Google, whether you're using Microsoft, whether you're using Zoom, whether you're using Apple, I think the fact that this global pandemic has created this opportunity for us to create better, faster, cheaper, devices, platforms, for all of our users. So really exciting times. A good example is the grid setup, that we now see obviously in Meet, but obviously Zoom were the first ones to come up with it, and it's sort of that direct feedback that we got. Teachers want to be able to see their students when connecting with them online. And so, we've rolled this out. I know Microsoft has rolled this out with Teams. So we sort of see the industry pushing one another over time. I did want to share, this example though, that we will always have super users out there that will push the limits on what we see that's possible, and through the extension and the open ecosystem that exists within our GC for Education platform. So this is James Campbell High School in Hawaii. They did the Google Meet with all of their faculty, all 225 of them on one Hangout, or one Meet rather, sorry, as it was renamed during this pandemic. And you can see, all of them on one screen, and they even shared the screen with the slides as well. So fantastic just to see, the global connection, that's been created, and people responding to that opportunity there. I did want to share one resource, wideopenschool.org, which is a collaboration, with all of these organizations that you see at the bottom of the screen there. All of the resources, and I'll go a couple of screen grabs here, whether you're a teacher or parent, some of the examples that are taken from many of these technology vendors and content providers, ready to give you real life examples of how we can use it. And I do want to share, we're going to see over the next couple of months, especially in the Northern Hemisphere back to school period, with many more updates coming for Drive, Classroom, especially, and Meet. And so stay tuned for that. I want to share, the last thing I'll share here is, sort of what's new. How do you keep track of everything that's new with G Suite? And this is the link that you see at the top there, gsuite.google.com, what's new. It's a good place to keep track of the product calendar and what's coming as well. One last graphic. I love following Silva Duckworth. If you do follow her, her Twitter handle's at the bottom right there of the image, and she does these amazing sketch graphs, sketch notes, and success is an iceberg. I like this one a lot. She does, again, many wonderful ones, but this one I think is sort of that what the times that we live in right now, right, where at the top of at the surface, on top of the water, what people see is a beautiful iceberg, but at the bottom there's so much hard work that goes into getting all of this stuff done. And so, to all the teachers and educators out there, thank you for everything that you do. I'll leave you with one final quote. Whoever said one person can't change the world never ate an uncooked bat. Jokes aside, we live in very interesting times. So to all the educators out there, I know how hard you guys have been working. So thank you for all of your hard work. Hopefully the rest of the sessions today, you're going to hear from some great presenters. As James mentioned, they're on the list. So please take the time to stop and share some of these with your fellow educators that couldn't make it today, and maybe we'll see them at a future session. Alrighty. And with that, I think I just wanted to end quick so that we can get to the crux of the content and really have good conversations with Sethi and Tim.
Thank you, Suan. Thank you very, very much. So I'm just going to bring in Tim and Sethi so we can have a bit of a chat about schools in the region. Okay. So let's just do a quick around the room, just in case you don't know. I'm going to go down to Sethi, who's in the bottom right. Sethi, please, quick introductions.
Unmute. Okay, everyone, you should hear me now. My name is Sethi. I have a YouTube channel where I produce a lot of videos, and I really enjoy sharing content, and I can't wait to learn from everyone in this stream. And I just want to say the chat is on fire. So everyone, thank you for joining us. Keep sharing it out, because the more people, the better.
And we'll talk about that little silver plaque in a few minutes, Sethi. Thank you. Tim, introduce yourself in case nobody knows you.
Hi everyone, Tim Evans, based in Hong Kong, where I'm an EdTech coordinator at an international school. Great to be involved with apps events again, and looking forward to seeing what everybody's been doing over the last few months and learning from you all.
Fantastic. And I think what we'll do with this sort of informal chat, I'm going to start with Suan. And maybe ask Suan, what have you noticed schools been asking or teachers been asking for the most from Google in your region?
For a vaccine, maybe. I think a lot of schools here in Australia are going through an interesting time where they are discovering, what that new normal is going to look like, whether it's a hybrid classroom where you have, a couple of days doing remote learning, a couple of days in the classroom, and how to support students, with different needs inside and outside of the classroom. Here in I'm based in Sydney, but in Melbourne, we're just going through our second lockdown there, and schools are shut again, and so teachers that were preparing to go back into the classroom after the holidays now had to quickly pivot to supporting remote learning as well. So I think it's what they've asked from Google is what are the tools that they can utilize to better support their learners that come from very diverse backgrounds, and how best to bring everyone together in this time of need.
And just tagging onto that, Suan, have you found your role within Google has changed in the last few months because of these extra demands from schools and teachers?
I definitely would say I have a much greater appreciation for teachers. Having two primary school kids at home, now as well, it's given me, the opportunity to see their learning firsthand, right? In terms of how they engage with their teachers, how they learn. Some of the things that they normally would do in the physical classroom. It's magical when your 7-year-old shares a Google document with you and asks for feedback. I think that's one of the proud moments as a Google parent. But beyond that, I think it's given me more patience, I think, and appreciation for the work that our lovely, wonderful educators do.
Well, let's move on to Sethi and then Tim in a moment. So, Sethi and Tim are both on holiday, unlike the Australian schools who are in session right now. Sethi probably can tell Tim has been on a nice long holiday now. Sethi, what are you thinking about as you go back to school now? I know you obviously have a class to teach and you're training your teachers. What's on your mind as you prepare for opening in the next couple of weeks?
Well, for me, it's making sure that no matter what ends up happening, that we're prepared for that. So obviously, have everything planned out for in-person sessions, but do have that element that allows you to instantly flip. Let's say that something was to go wrong or something happens and we have to revert back to online learning 100%, and we can do that. And one of the goals that I've sort of set myself is to really reduce the clicks. And I keep saying that, just reduce the clicks. Reduce the clicks for the teachers, reduce clicks for students, because obviously now that we've had this sort of almost an experiment of being online and seeing what works and what doesn't, I think as we reduce those clicks, we'll be able to keep all those things that work really well. And then once we go back to everyday teaching in the classroom, and we can still have those proven lessons and all those added skills that teachers now possess, and just make our lessons even better. So that's something I'm really excited about.
And Tim, similar question to you, Tim. What are you thinking about as school is opening? Because I know your role is a little bit different, Tim. What is your role within your school again?
Yeah, so as EdTech coordinator, I support the teachers and the students basically with tech use and tech integration. We have a model where we look to support I look to support, and the team look to support teachers more than students, in the sense that if we can upskill a teacher with a tool, that it will filter down and it's more sustainable then as years go on then. For us, it's a bit of a strange one because we were shut for 4 months. We went back in for a month. Then there was a second wave and we're starting again now online. So we're going back, which has been quite nice because it's given us a break to assess what worked and what didn't work. So I know we're going to hit the ground running now in a couple of weeks' time, where we've had that experience. There should be no teething issues and everything. You mentioned about holiday. That's what we've been doing, basically setting up devices and everything, because all our devices are in school on campus. Students don't have them, so we're having to arrange that they're ready accounts, or the rollover from 1 year to one grade. We're just thinking of what worked. And obviously, you look at what didn't work as well. I mean, that's you do that naturally then, and then plan accordingly then.
And back to, just curious about your devices. So you're going to be having students coming into school to collect those. How are you organising that?
Mix is a mixture. We're doing part deliveries to certain locations around the cities that are on the bus routes, and then because of restrictions, then there's only a certain amount of people who can congregate in one area. We're doing That's been recommended to parents. Go to one of these pickup areas, and then others who can't then will manage to they can come into school on a set time then.
Well, I mean, my perspective on it, outside of education, as we all are here, many teachers are also parents, and I have two teenagers at home, and I can't wait for school to open, whether online or in school. Give them something to do. It's a big challenge having kids at home. So I'm just pivot to that, Suan, because obviously you're a parent of children. What have you found? Just, I mean, if there was any advice for parents, what have you found has been working for you with kids at home studying?
You know, both my kids go to a Montessori school, and one thing, they don't use a whole lot of technology in the Montessori curriculum. And I think during this time, it's actually given them the opportunity, the school, the opportunity to revisit, the role that technology plays in a Montessori curriculum. I think for my kids, it's been easy because we've always had technology in the house, and for them to use it in the right way and a meaningful way, I think it's been critical. It's funny, we always make the joke, I have a 11-year-old who's in year 6, and every time Ryan's on his Chromebook, I know he's doing schoolwork, and every time he's on his iPad, he's playing his games. So we can tell really quickly sort of the different ways that they're engaging with technology. And I think it's important. I think it's important to have that time, right, for them to have play time, for them to have work time, and having that routine set up, because as we know, many kids do enjoy having some structure in their classroom as well. So I think it's important to have listen to your child and focus on the different needs that they may have when it comes to learning.
That's a good point. I have a son and a daughter. My daughter's always studying. I walk into my son's room, check his history, game after game after game. Thanks, Suan. Sethi, basically the same question to you. Your children at home, what have you found that's really worked for them from the school?
Well, again, that's structure. So clear expectations, that has helped a great deal when, especially because, I've got a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old, and the 7-year-old loves having choice because that's the way our classes are set up and our school is set up. And so they get to have a lot of choice. But that doesn't necessarily translate well when everyone's still trying to figure out different programs and different software to use and different ways of getting that content across. And so there were clear expectations of, okay, like, here are 7, optional activities, but we do expect you to complete this many by that time. And that really gave him sort of a sense of, I know what I'm doing, even though we're all practicing and we're all learning new things. And I know what's expected, and therefore I'm going to try my best. And so that's something I've seen from the parents' side. On the other hand, it's just been amazing to be at home with the children and seeing their progress. And like Suan was saying, seeing what they do in the classroom, because even though they go to the school I work at, you don't see them in the classroom with their friends, with their teachers. And so that's been an absolute joy to see. Flip side of that is when you're trying to teach a lesson to a different group of students and you've got a 3-year-old running around, that's not always ideal. But yeah, you learn to sort of find ways that it works.
Tim, over to you. Now, I know your child's a little bit too young to be online studying, but I'm just curious to know, what about parents? Have they been contacting you in the summer asking about the new year? What are their concerns? How have you been supporting parents at Stanford in Hong Kong?
There has been. Before the school year ended, we sent out communication to parents with some of the tools that we were going to leave active. So your IXLs, your big universe, some reading tools, math tools, literacy tools that we do use, but we left them active where we normally bring them down. We sort out the rosters, give them a good clean out, but we didn't. We left them online as much as possible because we just knew families wouldn't be traveling, they'd be at home. And we just pushed out some of the middle school students. We talk about Google, the digital skills and stuff like that. We haven't done anything official with them. We just said, maybe you want to go and explore this. Apple have got some stuff, whatever, anything that we have that the students can maybe get on with over the summer. And we've done that then. But parents have been supportive. The first 2 weeks were a challenge because nobody knew what was going on. We'd like, how long is this going to go on for? And then I think they realised, and big up to our staff here, we were doing a good job. Even if I say so myself, the teachers were amazing. They realised actually this isn't as bad as it could be. Then it's the not knowing that regardless of your role or who you are, it's like we're going back online now, but for how long? Is it going to be till end of September? Is it going to be till Christmas? I think that's what's more worrying for people, which then is a well-being issue and something completely different then.
Yeah, that well-being aspect, obviously we haven't touched upon that, but very, very important. We're